Hello and welcome back to the Sidescape Gaming Podcast, episode 55. I'm your host, Jake Burke, joined as always by James St. Charles and Ted Rusty Libby. Because you got rust on you, Ted.
I'm rusty.
You got rust on you.
I'm rusty. You're a mess.
You've missed some shows. You've missed some weeks and a show.
Back, Ted.
Unfortunately for you, you'll cut out all the beginning stuff so no one will know how many times you screwed up.
Zero. 0 times.
Perfect.
I was perfect. I'm batting 1,000 right now. And you want to know why I'm batting 1,000, James? Because this is the Sidescape Gaming Podcast, episode 55, where every Monday morning a new episode goes live on YouTube.com, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Once a week, we video chat across 500 miles to talk about what games we're playing and a main topic. This week, James is reviewing Resident Evil 8 Village for us, or Resident Evil Village with like the 8 in the V in the eyes. It's crazy stuff. If you enjoy the show, remember to like, subscribe, and share. And for the love of God, Ted, what do they need to do?
Like, comment, and subscribe.
James?
Tell their mothers.
Exactly. You got to tell their moms. Come on, Ted. Ted, how many times has your mom watched this show?
None.
Oh, wow, that really hurts.
Your face kind of went like, oh no.
Yeah. I think the last time I
God.
talked about video games to my mom, she cut me off and said, "Get that shit out of my garage."
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I had an old college friend like Facebook message me like, "Hey man, I really enjoy your podcast," and I was like, "Oh, that's crazy! Like people that I like don't talk to actively are listening. That makes sense." But I just didn't think about that. It's crazy. Okay, boys. Enough chit chat. Enough riff raff. Let's talk. What games we're playing first before we dive into that review. So Ted, I really want to talk with you because you weren't here last week. So I want to know what games you weren't here last week on the show.
What?
If you go back to
What are you talking
episode 54, the Returnal review, you won't be in the box. You won't be in the box.
You're not there.
Yeah. We recorded a show without you. Yep.
No, it's okay. I was busy last week.
Yeah.
I was. Yeah.
So what have you been playing? I want to know. Let's just hear it.
So I have been specifically out of touch recently and have been playing Resident Evil 7.
Nice. Okay.
I realized now there are a lot of numbers that I could have said after that.
Yeah. there's 8 of them.
I'm playing Resident Evil 7.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Is this your first Resident Evil game?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, actually.
Wow.
Yes, it is.
I feel like we're like our age group specifically, like, you know, where we're like mid-ish, late 20s, hasn't played a lot of Resident Evil because it was like right before we were like teenagers when all the Resident Evil games were like coming out.
Yeah. Yes, my first introduction to Resident Evil was number 5 on the Xbox 360, which is a co-op bro shooter.
I love 5.
Do you really?
In the style of...
I loved it because it was just such a fun co-op game.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
you just got with someone co-op and you played that whole game and that's what it was. It was just a co-op experience, nothing else.
Yeah.
That's all you care about.
And at the time, a lot of people were saying that, like, this isn't Resident Evil, this is Gears of War, and this is a terrible example. And
It's Army of Two.
the games kind of got worse for a little bit after that. And then they had a bit of a reimagining with 7, which is what I'm playing.
And that's what I want to talk to you about.
Yeah.
What do you think?
And I'm doing it right. My roommate and I are playing it on the TV, on the couch, after the sun goes down with the lights turned off.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah. That game is a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of. I think I'm about to hit the halfway point.
Okay.
I think.
Can you,
if I gave it a percentage, I'd say I
some
made
of the game. The game's been out for a while. I feel like we could spoil some of it, right?
Well, I mean, I don't spoil the ending. I haven't beaten it yet.
Don't spoil the ending.
Yeah,
but just who are you playing as?
Yeah, the
What's
premise.
what's the
You are main character fodder Ethan White.
Winters.
Ethan Winters. That's it. Yeah.
Yes.
The classic protagonist idiot of a horror movie.
Yes.
Who is summoned to a Louisiana swamp mansion by a email from his longtime missing ex-girlfriend of 3 years ago, who sent you a video email 3 years ago saying, like, go away, or I don't want to see you, something like that. And then all of a sudden you get a written email saying, hey, I'm here, come see me. And so Ethan Winters, the big dummy that he is, drives his 70s muscle car deep into the Louisiana swamps to find out what happened to her.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum.
Yeah,
It's a good.
it's a pretty good premise, and it's pretty funny how, like, obviously a horror movie this premise is. But no, you enter into a creepy Louisiana, like a New Orleans styled, mansion that is
insanely huge, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's abandoned, it's gross, it's yucky. There's a whole bunch of great introductory flavor around that kind of stuff. As you progress through this, you find your girlfriend, and she's a little bit weird. And then
it's like you find her, she doesn't want to see you. It's like, oh, okay, I guess that's how it is.
Yeah, and then you are, in fact, captured by a crazy hobo family, or a crazy hillbilly family that is living in this giant mansion, the Baker family, who are all just adamantly insane and look like they're dying, and you have to do various kind of puzzle-ish activities, all while kind of sort of hiding from their evil, scary jump scares.
Right. So can I ask a few questions about it? But not plot-wise, but gameplay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we're going to talk a lot about Resident Evil gameplay, obviously, today.
Yep.
How does it play first person? And how spooky is it? 7.
It's very spooky.
I've peed my pants.
Yeah.
A little bit came out. So it is really pretty darn scary up front. Again, I was playing with the lights off. I was doing it right.
Yeah.
It was meant to be scary. And it has slowly gotten less scary as I learn the game.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's how Resident Evil becomes.
That's
Ethan
exactly
Winters is slow, is sluggish. There are a whole bunch of interactables in the world that kind of promote spooky scares.
Yep.
And the world and level design is tailor-made for spooks. Yeah. There's like a main hallway, or a main kind of atrium, I guess, not really a living room in the mansion, with a light flashing along a wall and a fan that slowly spins. And you come out into this room from multiple different angles as you're running around, and that fan spooks me every single time. So it's that kind of thing.
Very nice.
It's really scary up front, and it slowly starts to get a little more annoying as the game starts asking you to start playing a video game. You know what I mean? Like, it's really scary.
Yeah, exactly.
Like using a gun in this game, because you get guns, feels really scary because your ammo is low and your aim is off because you're slow and sluggish.
Yeah.
And then the game starts telling you, like, hey, you really need to start landing these headshots. Like, we need you to get going and start playing the game. And you're like, well,
hey,
now it's just getting tough.
Yeah.
You know, it was scary at first when it was one enemy and I had, and this was my first gun, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the puzzle aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
It is very much like go upstairs and try and find the key or something, and then you find something else, and you're like, oh, I can go here and I can unlock this door now.
How's the inventory system? How's the inventory system?
Fine. All of that inventory Tetris stuff is just gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'm about the halfway point, and I'm starting to get to a point where it's getting a little bit cluttered. I'm starting to have to decide.
Yep.
Because you find crafting items in this game, which I think are just there to infuriate you and make you realize that you can't carry everything. So I am having to make those choices of like, okay, I'll grab this, then run back to the safe house, then keep going.
Yeah. Very nice. Well, I recommend when you finish this, play Resident Evil 2 Remake, because it's a fantastic third-person game.
To continue spoiling stuff, that's kind of... this game doesn't let me down at all, but it definitely... I thought this was going to be much more of what Resident Evil 2, the remake, or 2 in general, is of there's a big scary baddie who's just always kind of sort of following you, and he remains unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not. A lot of the enemy encounters and jump scares are pre-scripted events. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you go upstairs at a certain time in the game, he's going to be there. Yeah. You go upstairs at different times of the game, he's not going to be there.
You ever play Outlast, Ted?
No, I did not.
No. It's a very similar, like, style to that game with like the first person type scripted jump scares when you go into a certain room.
Yeah.
Is definitely like such a different take from the Resident Evil series as a whole, which I think is great because it comes out like that. However, this is not a game for you, Jake.
No.
Like, it is.
No.
Definitely not that.
Not
your stuff.
I watched a Let's Play of like the first 10 minutes of Resident Evil 7.
Oh, yeah.
And like I was like, I don't even want to watch someone else get scared by this game. Like, it's just not for me. And that's what we're going to talk a lot about Village in a little bit, because I want to play it, but I'm also real scared to play it. So I want to talk a lot about that in a little bit. Ted, do you have any final thoughts on Resident Evil 7?
It's cool. I would say at first it was a lot of scripted, very well-tuned jump scare-esque things. And as I have played it, it has started taking a lot of that horror movie scripting out and has started to become a lot more like a video game, where bosses are less about scaring you and you running away and more about like, hey, you actually need to like learn the pattern and kill them. And it's not bad by any means, but it's definitely changing in tone. Okay. And I don't think that I like that. You know, like as the jump scares wear off, it's now becoming a very difficult video game because you're a slow, sluggish horror game protagonist, but the game needs you to duck and dodge and, you know, kind of...
Headshot.
Yeah, a headshot and strafe around enemies to hit them in the back. And you're like, this really doesn't feel like it was made for this.
And that's kind of from what I even played of Resident Evil 2 and 3, and James, you can back me up. Like, that's kind of the MO of Resident Evil. It's like you are a slow and sluggish protagonist kind of in all of them. I mean,
yeah.
In 3, you're a little quicker. You have a dodge, but not...
3, you're like almost like... You're like, you can
OP,
do anything you want.
Yeah. But like 2, you're like pretty slow and sluggish too.
2,
like,
you're a toothpick. Like you could get slapped around at any time.
Yeah, that's the other thing. This game, it's really funny. You know, this we'll talk about this I think in 8, but this game has this ridiculous sense of world. Enemy characters will cut your arms and legs off pretty consistently. And you have to pick up your appendage and stick it back on you, and then you use a healing potion, which is just alcohol, and then you just kind of pour it over yourself, and sometimes you get a little stapling animation, and you just like reattach your limbs and keep going.
That is amazing.
And it's ridiculous. The first time it happened, we were like, what is going on? The second time it happened, we were like, what is actually going on?
This is awesome.
Yeah, it is totally ridiculous. But that being said, you are a toothpick in Resident Evil 7, and there are times where that's really fun and tense and scary, and then there are times where you're like, oh my god, this actually sucks. Like, you know, this character is really strong. I need to beat him to continue, and he just hits me in one go. So we're going to have to spend 25 minutes as I slowly deal with this.
Yeah. Good old video games.
Mm-hmm.
James, have you been playing anything else other than RE8?
Yes.
Yes.
I got... maybe like 1 or 2 games I want to mention.
Okay.
I don't even want to talk about Mass Effect because I only played like a little bit.
I'm going to talk
about
it
in a minute, at this point. So you could talk about it. But I've been playing some Warhammer Vermintide 2.
Ooh.
It was on sale for like $7-8 and just wanted to get back into it.
I have no idea what this is.
So what you're trying to tell me is that Back for Blood has been delayed? Is that what you're saying?
Basically, this is like my Back for Blood
fix?
kind of fix, yeah.
It's a Left 4 Dead-like game?
Left 4 Dead-like game, yeah.
Huh.
But in like the Warhammer type setting, and in the sense that you have like mobs of rat people, and some other, and you can be like a archer type class. You could be like a mage. That's really hard to play, or like I do. Play the ones that it's just like you just have a hammer and you just smash everything.
Yeah, it's Left 4 Dead, but with very defined fantasy roles.
Like medieval type chivalry.
Of tank, ranged, magic, you know, that kind of thing.
And the campaigns are fun. Like they're long too. Like I'm in this one where it's like there's 4 or 5 acts in it. Each act can take up to an hour. So
holy crap.
And then there's like 25, 30 of them.
Wow. In
one block. And there's 4 blocks.
Oh my god.
So there's so much content in this game that I was playing with someone. I was like, man, there's just so much to do. Like I don't know like how we'll do this. So we did like the first wave and leveled up my character. Only got to level like 7 and the max level is 30. So that tells you like the ranking I'm gonna guess is gonna get really slow from here on out. But you do these quests, and then once you finish like a block or an act, you get a box. And depending on how good you did in that like level, like whether you found like these secret items or something like that, you can level up your box. And in your box is loot, like weapon upgrades, shields, like stuff like that to make your character better. So basically the point of it is you're going to try and get all these weapons and then level up your character to a certain hero power. And then when you can get to a certain hero power, when you're strong enough, you can play at higher difficulties. So that's the name of the game. It's not too hard to get into. Like that's cool, mainly just left clicking. So I've been playing that.
Nice.
And then I downloaded Deep Rock Galactic because that was also on sale. That game is only like 3 gigabytes, which I was surprised. And I started it up, and it immediately puts you into the game to play a tutorial to like teach you. And it is really full of itself. Like it is just like slapstick kind of like this is what you do. You have like a giant Gatling gun to like shoot down rocks. Funny. It is also really good like 4-player co-op type game where you're just mining for resources and completing a quest. Yeah. Basically a lot of these co-op games.
Are you excited for Darktide, the Warhammer 40k edition of this Left 4 Dead style?
I'm excited for Darktide, and I'm more excited for the D&D Xbox Game Pass game coming out. That's also a 4-player RPG style.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that. What is the name of that?
I didn't even know that existed.
It's a Dark Ascension. That's a video game, right?
I don't think
that is definitely a video game somewhere.
That's a Magic set. But yeah, it's coming out in June, I think, and it's coming out to Game Pass.
Very cool.
But it's the Xbox, whatever that D&D
Dark Alliance.
Dark Alliance, yeah.
Nailed it.
There it is.
Yeah.
Dark Alliance.
But basically been playing these type of co-op games recently, and they're fun. I just never got around to them.
That's awesome. Are you playing with people?
Yeah. Playing with a couple friends.
That's awesome.
It's fun.
Does Left 4 Dead still reign supreme though? I mean, let's be real.
I mean, it's so hard to play Left 4 Dead nowadays. You know, I need Back 4 Blood.
Yeah.
Like it's just I need something different.
I can't wait for Back 4 Blood.
Left 4 Dead is almost too dated. Like it's got some really old.
You take that back.
It's pretty old.
As someone who has no reverence for Left 4 Dead, I know it's good, but like I never played it as a young person. When I've played it the few times with you guys, I have absolutely hated it.
Oh, I love it.
Because it's so old, and I have no reverence for like controls.
Yeah, how good it was.
Yeah.
James, any final thoughts on Warhammer and D&D?
Looking to play more. It's gonna be a lot, but the reason why I'm playing is because it's such a dry spell right now in terms of multiplayer games.
That is true. So
you played Overwatch.
You watch it.
I've been telling you about it.
Mass Effect.
That's how desperate I've been getting. Played Overwatch.
I don't know. If it was crossplay, I would do it with you, but I got a PS5.
It'll never be crossplay. No, sadly, they're just not there.
No, it won't. The only thing that I've been playing really is Mass Effect. Since we talked about Returnal last week, and I played a few rounds of that, but Ted, Returnal, very good video game. Just throwing it out there. But I'm playing Mass Effect.
I want to listen to a podcast about it.
The Size Keep Gaming Podcast, episode 54, live on YouTube.com, Spotify.
That's how it was before the show.
Yeah. So, I've been playing Mass Effect 1 Remastered. I'm way deeper into it than I was last show.
I have too. Well, I'm not deep into it, but yeah.
Okay. Yes. Well, we're doing a big topic
been giving
about
it a tickle. Yeah.
Yeah, about it next week. We'll probably only be talking about Mass Effect 1, except for
probably like 1 is like the only thing we're gonna be finishing. Maybe you'll finish
I'll be on
1,
2 by then. Yeah. I predict that in the next 2 days we'll probably be on 2, which I'm very excited about. 1 is really weird, and I want to say this to you guys. It gets better. It gets a lot better.
That's what everyone was telling me. He's like, hey, you know what? 2 gets better.
I'm a Mass Effect 1 apologist. I actually really liked Mass Effect 1.
I like the shooting.
Oh, really?
It is. For me on PC, it is fun sniping.
It
is some good clean.
How's the field of vision?
Whoa, hold on. Are you talking about Legendary Edition? Because they redid the sniping specifically for...
I'm definitely doing only Legendary Edition.
Okay, yeah. The original sniper rifle was bad. It was awful.
Yeah.
The original Mass Effect
like Halo
was
sniping.
a weird game. But I think the story of Mass Effect 1 is super cool. The controls I even still feel today are a little dated, which really worries me about maybe this is how Mass Effect 2 feels too, and I have a different memory for it.
Oh, no.
But, dude, I'm so happy that this tank never shows up again in Mass Effect.
Yeah, you keep telling us about this
tank.
Explain this tank.
First of all, it's a rover, okay?
Sorry, it is a rover. Fuck.
Yeah.
It controls like a tank in peanut butter. Yeah. It is... Okay, James... You land on vacant planets and you are put into a rover called the Mako.
Yeah,
and it's got a machine gun and like a missile gun on it. And it controls better than it did in Mass Effect 1, and it is terrible to drive in this game still. And that shows you how bad it was in the first game. Yeah. It's like unpleasant to play.
Well, it uses tank controls in that. Yeah. At least if imagine, if you will, a mouse and keyboard. WAS and D is forward, backward, left, and right. And then you look with the mouse.
It's like playing like Halo tank, Scorpion tank, Halo 1.
Yeah, well, at least with Halo, it's pretty rough. It's weird. It deserves to be taken out.
Yeah, and so they really realize it was bad, and they don't really go back to it, which is super exciting. But it's just a lot of the game too. It's a lot more of the game than I remember is in this tank. So I'm very excited to get away from that. But stick through Mass Effect 1 if you're not enjoying combat or something, because it will get better, and the stories kind of flows a little better, and what the options that they give you to do, and the inventory systems and everything just get improved, because the inventory is not great in the first Mass Effect, in my opinion. So
it's a classic RPG.
It is a classic RPG.
Yeah,
and
I really enjoy it. It's funny because fairly recently I played Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
Mm-hmm.
And you can very much see the through line of that to Mass Effect 1. They're very similar in that respect.
I've kind of forgot how similar they were with a lot of that. Like,
yeah.
They
were only made 3 years apart.
That's insane.
Wow.
Maybe 4 years apart. But yeah, they were, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
There was not a lot of time.
That's nuts. One feels so much older than the other.
Yeah, one feels like a game of yesteryear, and the other feels like
a modern-ish.
A modern-ish.
Wow.
4 years, excuse me. It was 4 years.
2004, 2003, that still blows my mind. Wow. Anyways, it's great though, and I love the characters, man, and it's so fun to be back in Mass Effect, and I just can't wait to keep going.
I'm glad this kind of came out, and from what I've seen, it's done pretty well.
Let's get into it. Jake, what class do you play?
All right, here's the deal. I screwed up. Okay, I always have played a soldier, and I know.
Yep.
And so I'm playing a Vanguard right now. And I'm gonna be honest, I absolutely hate it, and I'm gonna play a soldier in Mass Effect 2.
You're not gonna carry over your character?
No, you can. You carry over your character, but you can Mass Effect 2 you can redo your appearance in class.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I'm done, because I like using my other people's abilities, and I'll just be straight combat.
Oh, okay.
What
a fucking weirdo.
I know.
You gotta use your own abilities.
I know. And I've played Mass Effect multiple times all the way through, and I play it the exact same way every time. It's weird.
No, I too am playing a Vanguard, and I really like it.
Yeah,
it's hard to switch it up.
I know.
Although I feel like James, I hope you're playing the Infiltrator, the sniping class.
I haven't even gotten to the point where I can pick my class.
Oh my gosh!
I only played 30 minutes.
That's the start of the game. Like before the game even starts, it like has you pick a class and a character.
Dude, he's just been vibing to that menu music.
Yeah,
because that's what I do.
I swear I did not pick.
It gave you like a list of options.
He reads the intro where it says in 2149.
I only
humans
picked
discovered.
male or female so far.
Huh.
And then you're on the ship, and then you get deployed to like your first mission.
We'll dive into that topic later.
So James has a class, but he doesn't know what it is.
Well, James, you probably,
Yeah.
if you're a sniper, you probably pick the Infiltrator, and I think that would be a really cool class to play because the redone sniper rifle is very fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have I have like 4 or 5 guns, and I just got like deployed, and I was like shooting a sniper.
Yeah,
that's basically.
That's the start.
Yeah, no, I picked a Vanguard because I really wanted that mix of abilities and butt guns.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also a weird person. I like using pistols in these kinds of games. I think that's cool.
When you're a Vanguard, that's like the only weapon to use.
Yep.
Because
Vanguard, they say it's a shotgun class, but it's a pistol class.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I did the thing that I do in most RPGs where I go into the character creator and spend 2 hours trying to make President Barack Obama.
Nice.
Which didn't do a bad job this time. It's pretty great.
Right.
Doesn't sound like him, obviously. We're waiting for that mod.
What's your guy's first name, Ted? Is it Brock Shepard?
Yeah, it's Brock Shepard.
There it is.
Yeah,
Love
absolutely. Although it's funny because I've played Mass Effect 1. This is going to be my 3rd time.
Okay.
Which is really funny, because I've never played Mass Effect 2.
That blows my mind.
About that.
Dude.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
I really like Mass Effect 1. It's just like a cool 70s sci-fi type thing. I don't know. I like it.
You're going to play 2 though, right?
Yeah, my goal is to play 1 and 2 at least.
Play 3. That's fine.
But every time I play Mass Effect, I end up being a good guy because BioWare RPGs are always like the rational, reasonable choice is to just pick the good guy answers because that's what human beings do. So this time I am determined to be a renegade.
Oh, very cool.
Which, much like Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, is kind of tough because it's just every renegade point is just clearly the asshole answer.
Yeah,
to
like
a point where it's like not even fun dialogue.
No, it's a lot of times like someone's standing there and they're like, "Hey, what are you gonna be okay with me?" And it's like the options are like, "Yeah, you're nice," and it's like, "I'm gonna murder you," and it's like those are your options. And you're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. The part where you meet one of your companions, Garrus.
Yeah.
You know, like he's a cop and he takes a shot, and you could say like, you know, good job back there, nice shot, or like, you idiot. And I was like, really?
Wow.
Like that's
Dude.
So I'm trying to play a bad guy, but it's funny how difficult it is to be a full renegade, at least in Mass Effect 1.
I think it gets better. But okay, enough about
believe
Mass
it's
Effect. We're going to talk a lot about it next week. James, the con is yours.
Con
Resident
is mine?
Evil Village.
Village, yes.
Give it-
Resident Evil 8?
Really dialing it back. We've
Yes.
gone up to
come
the
full
stars,
circle.
and now we're going
All right.
right back down.
So I want your brief impressions, and then I want you
Yes.
to take it how you want to take it.
Okay.
Okay.
hold on.
First,
Hold on. Time out.
overall,
Have you played 7? Yay or nay?
I just, it's so long ago. Like, I basically, like, did a quick review, like,
You did
remembering
that.
some stuff.
Okay. Oh, you
Just,
did play 7. Okay.
Yeah, I played 7, so yeah, so I've referenced.
Because this is
8.
a direct sequel to 7.
Yes, it's a direct sequel to 7, but however, 7 is so unimportant to 8 that it probably, like, your knowledge of 7 is literally captured in when you load the game, it plays a clip for you, and that's all you need, basically. It knows, like, hey, if you're playing this game and you haven't played 7, here's a clip of what happened in 7, and it basically tells you everything that happened in 7.
That's awesome.
So it's a nice, and it takes all the jump scares. It just tells you like why you're here and what you're doing, and then it throws you into the game, which I think is fine because the game is more centered around like a different kind of idea than 7, in the sense that my overall impressions is this game is not scary. This game is basically more puzzle, open, combat filled. It is nothing like 7,
Okay.
I would say,
Yeah.
in that sense. However, it's first person, and I want to bring up, I want to like trickle in some of the problems that I've had with this game in here. I don't want to like just list out all my problems because it kind of ties in. At the start of the game, I don't want to spoil too much, but you are like in a first person mode and you're really zoomed in, and just like 7, you were really zoomed in. However, there's no FOV slider, and when I think about Resident Evil, I don't think there ever has been. So people were complaining about that.
Never needed it. Yeah.
You never needed it. With this game, however, I was actually feeling motion sick at the start,
Really?
like moving around.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Had to really adjust my mouse settings. So I was like, okay, man, if I can't play this game for you guys, this is gonna suck. So I looked up what people have been doing, and of course, it's PC. There's a mod right away. It's called Lazy FOV. So if anyone is actually like playing this game and feeling motion sick, like I was with the FOV, you can get this mod called Lazy FOV.
That's really.
It fixes it right away. You can go. I brought it up to 90, and it was fine at 90.
Yeah, there's
I
an
didn't wanna
FOV
go
slider
too
in
far.
7, which is really interesting.
I don't know why there wasn't one for this game. And when I think about it, it's like,
It might be
This
patched,
mod
might be patched
is-
in later. This might be a
yeah,
release first and fix as the problems come up.
that was one problem I had with the game, and I only had 2 problems with this game. So that to me, that was fine. Like, okay, it was something that I could fix right away.
Yeah.
But that was at the start. I was just like, okay, gotta be able to play this game. So that was seamless, and was really happy that worked out.
Okay.
Next thing is this game is way beautiful. Like 7 was pretty good, but this is it looks good.
Yeah.
Like I was impressed.
Can I ask a question on that? How does
Yes.
it look compared to RE2 and 3 remake?
It's just so different when I
Okay.
think about 2 and 3. At points, same probably for 2. But since you're like third person and
Oh, yeah, I was
your
curious.
character models a little bit, this is I would say it looks better.
Okay.
It definitely looks better.
Awesome.
So I did when in my mind when I was playing this game, I was comparing it a lot to 2. 2 for me is like the standard. It's like the benchmark for the best Resident Evil
Yeah.
game I've ever played. And first off, I want to talk about is difficulty. Do not play this game on standard. Standard difficulty is like easy. I didn't die until like the very end of the game.
What, you didn't die once
Because-
until the end of the game? Wow. Okay.
It just ramps up at the end of the game, but
Yeah.
it was not hard. So I told some friends right away to play hardcore. Sure, it was like difficult to start for them, but the difference between standard and hardcore is instead of taking 3 hits and being close to death, you take 2 hits and being close to death, and enemies are slightly more aggressive.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the difference. So I recommend if you do want to play this game and you want a challenge similar to 2, play hardcore.
Okay.
Because normal, like standard on 2, it was still difficult. You were still having like a struggle with the enemies. So that to
Yeah.
me was different. The difficulty is not proportional when I was thinking about that. It was definitely way easy on standard.
So, can I ask
So,
you a
I
question
wish I
about
would've.
that? Because I think that's another question that I have. So, I want to talk about like the tension of this game because you mentioned it's not scary, and it
No.
doesn't sound like it's like difficult, like you're like really vulnerable. So is like there not a lot of tension in this game? Like how does that?
Yeah,
Because that's Resident Evil is like feeling tense.
I think you have a lot of tension at the start.
Yeah.
In the sense that like you're just kind of like in disarray. I don't want to spoil too much because I want you guys to play this and like kind of like feel it. But there is one mechanic in this game that completely makes me safe. Like makes you feel safe. That is that you can block everything. You can. An enemy can like start attacking you and you just like go like this, block it, and you don't take any damage if you time it just right. Yep.
Oh.
So you could take like 7 or 8 hits before you have to actually like heal yourself back up to full.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
And that right there, like timing your blocks and like conserving your ammo at that point, or even having excess ammo, completely like threw me off like compared to 2. 2, enemy gets you or grabs you, you're taking a big chunk. Like you can time if you miss your timing on like the space or the mash. Because you can get away. Like it wasn't like you couldn't in 2, but this you just like hold my block, you hit, okay, I'm fine.
Wow.
Even with bosses or with bigger enemies, it works. So let me transition to like everyone knows, Miss Demeterescu, the big vampire tall lady.
I've missed this completely.
The internet's been talking about Ted, and you haven't been on there.
No, I have not. Can you give me the most basic of premise because this is a direct sequel. You are playing Ethan Winters.
Oh, the whole game.
Yeah,
you're still playing Ethan Winters.
Yeah,
I just don't want to spoil too much.
In a different place. I think he's in a European village. I'm assuming, and
you're in a village.
Lady Dematois, please. She's French.
I don't know. It has I don't know. Miss D.
I'm gonna be right back, but you guys can keep talking. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So it takes place in a village. She's in a castle. Can you quickly explain to me why people are going nuts about her? Is it just a sexy bad guy? Is that what's going on?
No. She is very similar to Mr. X, which I'll probably repeat that when Jake gets here because he wants to hear that. But in terms of what she does in the game, her role is huge. Like, I think you spend maybe like a third of the time of like my playthrough was in her area.
Okay.
There's separate areas you go to. It's not like 7 where it was like kind of like all in one kind of thing.
Yeah, bits and
this place is huge. Like you spend most of your time in the village, but
from what I understand, there is a central hub that is, I believe, the village. Yeah. And then enemies, which are categorized into levels, which are spread out from the village, and it feels very much like I'm gonna go here, do this mechanic, beat this enemy, and then return, rinse, repeat until the game is over.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's in 2 you kind of like went around the whole police station solving these puzzles, getting these things, so you can like, okay, if I get this key I can go to this area, if I can get this I can go to this. That's Resident Evil. That's what you're doing in this game.
Yeah, I was going to say 7 had that too, where I was unlocking things later in the game, or well, for me, I would go back to the beginning part and
like
go
shortcuts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But as I was explaining to Ted for Jake, for Miss Demeter, whatever her name is,
Dematois.
So her big deal is like you spend like probably a good I spent like 3 hours in her area probably.
And the game's like 9 hours. Is that kind of right?
That was my playthrough. Someone else is also on track for 9 hours, and they've been a little bit more thorough than I have.
That's what I've heard.
Surprising.
Yeah. I've heard that as well.
You can probably like full clear this in a good like 10-11 hours. Okay. So yeah, it's not too long, but
that's kind of exciting, actually.
Yeah. It's fine. You don't have to like spend 30 hours in this game.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one of like the first major areas you go to is her castle. Like you even see all like the clips of it, like what she does. And she has 3 daughters, and her thing is she acts like Mr. X for Resident Evil 2, where she is roaming her castle like while you're like searching for stuff and all that. However, she's not scary like Mr. X. Mr. X gets you, you're dead.
Yeah.
You can like take so many hits from her. Again, you can block, you can like you can run away. Like it's for Mr. X, I swear sometimes you would like immediately I need to get to the safe house. I need to get to the safe house. Her, I see her like down the hall. Cool. I'm just gonna like walk past you.
Huh.
Yeah.
That to me like totally just I was not a fan of that. Like I felt like she should one shot you. She should like grab you. You should be dead. Like
from what I'm to understand, it sounds like Resident Evil 7 was extremely popular and very well liked.
Yes.
And in a lot of ways, they felt that, people are feeling that Resident Evil 8 Village is actively stepping away from a lot of what 7 did. It's trying to dial back the horror movie aspect.
Yeah, which I think is fine.
And they're trying
to
to steer the ship into more of a classic Resident Evil, or at least more of a later Resident Evil with more emphasis on guns, more emphasis on combat, and less about, oh my god, I just peed myself and now I'm dead and I'm going to start over.
So let's talk about the combat really quick that you brought up.
Yeah.
It is to like combat in a sense, like you're conserving your ammo, you're placing certain things for certain enemies. Like I'm gonna save my ammo for this boss, or like I'm gonna use this gun on this boss. You get like a really nice magnum. It's like, okay, I'm gonna use my ammo sparingly.
How's the inventory system? I'm sorry, just really quick. I like to know my
how's the
Resident Evil inventory systems.
We'll segue. You have a guy. You don't really have. You kind of have safe rooms. You have like save areas.
Yeah.
But you have this guy named the Duke.
The fat dude.
The big fat dude.
Yeah.
He's like he's your merchant. Like you go and you sell stuff to him, buy your ammo, buy weapons, buy recipes, and you can buy like upgrades to your inventory.
Okay.
So I never had inventory problems because I would just buy all the upgrades. And for some reason you just get all the money in the world because you find these items and they sell for like 30K or something. And you can I was watching a friend like play, and they had so much money. They were buying every single upgrade for all of them, all their weapons. So
interesting. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
If you want to be a loot goblin, you could loot everything and sell everything and level up all your guns. So that's fun.
Gotcha. So back to combat. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail it. I was just curious.
For the combat, I brought up like one of the mechanics was you can block. Mm-hmm. You have a knife that is completely useless. It's basically only used to like break stuff. Okay. It is not good against enemies. It takes like 20 hits probably to like kill an enemy. So your main gun is like your pistol, which you level up. You have a shotgun. You have a sniper rifle. You can get all these other guns. You can buy some new guns. However, there's one thing I want to bring up, and it's not too much of a spoiler. I hope not. But there's one point in this game where it just completely turns itself on its own head. Like, it throws out.
You lose all your guns, right?
Well, I'll just say this. You play as another character. Let's just say you play as another person, and you have like 500 ammo. You have OP guns, and you are just like a juggernaut kind of thing.
Oh, interesting.
And to me, that point, like I get what they're doing, but it just kind of like, I don't know, it's just like soured by like taste of the games. Like you're so bent on conserving your ammo, and that's like kind of like this Resident Evil style, which I think we like.
Is that a long section?
No, it's very short.
Oh, okay.
And it's just, it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Like I was like, why are we doing this? Like, why did this need to be added? Did it really need to be?
Yeah. I have not played this game, obviously, but it does sound like they are sort of running into a bit of an identity problem where Resident Evil has been two very different types of movies from the 80s. And this seems like it kind of wrestles back and forth with what it wants to be. Is it scary or is it action?
There is definitely, this game is like, when I think of 7, 8, I feel like the next game will solidify what they want to do.
Yeah.
This game like definitely tested a lot of the waters. It like borrowed some 2 remake. It borrowed like some 7. Mm-hmm. It definitely threw out the scariness of it, which I think is fine. I didn't want the scariness. It has really good puzzles. Mm-hmm. The puzzles are very similar to 2. And the areas where you go, it's beautiful and it's big, and they're creative in terms of like how the enemies work.
Yeah.
It's just they definitely paid more attention to certain areas that were like, okay, you're gonna spend like 3 hours in this area. You're gonna probably spend like maybe an hour in this area.
Yeah.
So they definitely didn't balance it. Like they knew where they wanted people to
spend their time,
have fun. Yeah, spend their time on the areas. And the other areas, like you go here, then leave. Boom. That's it.
How with combat, like how is the enemy variation and like?
You have the very same kind of, I would say 2 like zombies.
Okay.
But since they die though, like but they take a lot of bullets to like actually kill them. You can't just like knife all the time. You have some special type mobs.
Okay.
That don't want to spoil too much, but let's just say they're a little bit like more harder to deal with.
Okay.
You have the boss mobs.
Yeah.
Which, like the main character type mobs. So there is variation like that, similar to like 3, I would say. Where 3 you had like different like nemesis type beings, but there is good variation, but the thing is, not scary. Like just here's an enemy. Like nothing jump scares, nothing just grabs you, throws you in the dark. Yeah. It's very light.
I mean,
there's not really dark.
To be honest, that's a little disappointing for me because I was very much into what 7 is doing with like this kind of a horror puzzle-y type game. And to hear that they are leaving that in favor of more of the action stuff that Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6 were, not quite why I'm coming to this series.
People are attuning this more to 4, which I have a vague memory on 4.
Yeah,
it's like everyone's favorite.
A 4. Yeah, and so that's what they're like, man, this is just like 4, and like all this stuff. And I was like, man, is it really? Like, I think about it, it's doing little things here and there, but it's not fully committing to one thing. Mm-hmm. It's not like the game has an identity crisis. It definitely has like a good story and it's thorough, but it doesn't really like stick with one thing the whole time. So when I brought up earlier the difficulty, like normal, or standard, I guess is what they call it, it was just so easy. All of the bosses were very easy. I think I one-shot all of them until the very end, where it just like ramps up for no apparent reason. Like it just like blindsides you. And it's like, okay, I actually got to be like, I actually got to, get up in my chair and actually play, get some headshots here. But it just, I was near the end of the game. I was kind of done with it. Like I was like, I'm just gonna beat this game. I was trying to thoroughly like look at every single area until like that one part where I was telling you.
That's a shame that it's like really, easy is like a weird way to say it. But like there's just no tension in the combat because that's Resident Evil. Like,
I think it's because you just figure it out right away. You know when you're gonna block. You know how you're gonna like use your heals that you have so many of, and you have so many hits in standard that you don't care like that you're gonna get these. You have no, I don't know, not like no fear, but it's just.
Because I always think of like the Resident Evil effect is like you have to walk down a hallway with 4 bullets and there's 2 zombies and
exactly
you better hope you hit your headshots or you're fucked.
No, I think, we both play too, so we know that you see the zombies like, okay, I'm like, I better like get this or I'm gonna die of one hit right here, or this person's gonna get me, or if I open the door and I see Mr. X right there just walking, like I knew where like I knew where she was like the whole time, like, and she wasn't even scary. It was just
that's a shame.
I don't know. Yeah, it did. It's like I knew what because you know what they're doing. Yeah. It's exactly like the same thing in 2, but it was not the like same implementation. She didn't one shot you like when she got you.
I haven't played a modern Resident Evil like a 7 or 8. So are you upgrading your character like every game now has like skill points you put into abilities? No,
you can upgrade your guns. Mm-hmm. So like you increase the ammo capacity, the rate of fire, the power of it. So basically everyone just increases the power.
Yeah, just damage.
Your damage. And then you can so there's like this interesting mechanic where you can kill fish, like slice them or shoot them, like in a river.
Of course.
You could kill chickens, you could kill pigs, and then you can give them to the Duke and he can make a recipe for you and like increase like how many hits you can take, or increase like some regen, some health stuff. So
there's the RPG-ish of it. Okay.
Yeah, there's like kind of like the things you can apply to your character.
Yeah.
And then there's the normal Resident Evil stuff where if you play the game enough or replay enough, you get these CP points. Mm-hmm. It's like the same in all games, like Resident Evil 2 or 3, and you can get like infinite ammo.
Yeah, like cheats.
All that type of stuff. Huh. Yeah, those type of cheap stuff. There's like one mechanic I didn't bring up, which not a mechanic, but like an enemy I didn't bring up. For when you're fighting in the mansion, I told you she had 3 daughters. Mm-hmm. That enemy for some reason just completely destroys my frames on the PC.
Huh.
Like, I don't know why. Like, I'll be sitting at like a nice 144 or something like that, and it goes to like 20 whenever that enemy's on the screen, and you're trying to like get away, fight, and you're fighting the frames more than you're fighting the enemy.
That's the fear.
So I don't know if that's a thing on
computer.
I don't know if that's a thing on consoles or stuff, but I know other people were having issues with that as well.
Sorry,
no
Ted,
science behind this.
The most Kojima-ass thing to do in a video game is like
to drop
the fear is to make them think their game is crashing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I have heard disjointed reports that the PC hiccups in weird, strange ways. Probably launch day problems. They'll probably get flushed out, but it is something to be aware of.
The enemy has so many just particle physics going on your screen. It just There's just unnecessary, so that's why it's like taking the FPS. It can't render.
Well, I've heard that
I don't know why.
the PC port of this game is actually the worst port, which is weird.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't. To me, that's the second problem. That's it. Those are the only two problems. Everything else played fine. All the puzzles worked.
Yeah.
The enemies did what they're supposed to do. So, not to say like this game is really intensive, but there's a lot going on, and for only those two types of problems, not bad. Let's see. Did I have one more thing?
Ted, do you have any questions for James?
Yeah.
About it?
Just that if I, as somebody who here has only played Resident Evil 7 and really enjoyed what that brought to the table, should I continue my journey and play 8? And to follow up with that, should I continue to play 8 just so that I can be ready for 9, I guess?
Okay, yeah. So you need to play 8 definitely because you need to be ready for 9. And the reason why I say that is 8 story is pretty like carrying over from 7, even though like you can definitely just have it all encompassing. There's little things in 8 that gets dropped that's like, whoa, I didn't realize that. And then when you think about it from 7, it's like, oh, that does make sense. So you need to, if you like the story, continue on with 8. If you're expecting the same type of game from 7, this isn't it. This is more diving into a Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 3, maybe type.
That's really strange. Now, also, Resident Evil 7, which I'm starting to... Resident Evil 7, a lot of people said this is one of the first fully immersive VR games. This is a game you can totally play in VR for hours on end and have a lot of fun with. I'm starting to think that's a sick joke to get people to put on a headset and get the shit scared out of them.
Did you play this in VR, Ted?
No.
Oh, okay.
Can you?
Yeah. Not 8, but 7.
Yeah, 7 is VR, and a lot of people really liked it for that. Is 8?
I thought it was PlayStation. Is it PlayStation VR though? It's not PC VR, is it?
I believe it's PlayStation VR. I don't know.
Oh, I think it is just PSVR.
That's what I was saying. I remember PlayStation VR.
Yeah, I know it's on PS. I know it's on PS4. No, 8 Village is not VR compatible.
No.
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder if that was a strange
this would
cooperation with Sony to get PSVR with something. But that's really interesting that they chose not to continue with VR.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I think about it, like Alex would be similar to this game in terms of like first person is half of Alex, but it just would not work well with a lot of stuff. And the reason why I think is because this game has a lot of puzzles, probably definitely more than 7 and way more than 3 had. That's which is why I compare it to 2, because it's very like 2 puzzle-esque. And it would just be so hard, like managing all those puzzles and trying to do them all in VR. Yeah. And also, it's not to say it would be scary, but it probably definitely would be scarier playing in VR than you would be on your PC.
Those things are.
The mechanics would be the controls as well. But when I think about VR and like scary type things, it's definitely there, but no AAA game has really come out to me that's like been a full like Resident Evil 7. Like that to me, I think is probably one of the best. Not to say that it is a good game, like for scary VR type things, but it's just there hasn't been any scary VR games like
AAA
done as well. Yeah, AAA. When I think about it.
So
probably for good reason.
Yeah.
You can get pretty darn scared in
you
VR without
kill
a horror game.
one with it.
And I would turn and run straight into a wall.
Exactly.
If I played
it's a liability issue.
Yeah.
That's what we're.
Because I was not ready for Resident Evil 7 to get to me as much as it did. In a fun way. Like that's the point, right? Like you're supposed to watch a horror movie to be scared, and it totally worked. And boy, if I was doing this for the first time in VR, I would have a rough time of it, in a fun way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So James,
I guess
can I ask a question? Do you like this game?
So yeah, just in closing.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious.
The game to me is just good. So that's what I was telling you. It's like kind of 2 thumbs up. It's I've seen people. I saw the Metascore. It's like 81. To me, it's like a 70. Okay. It's a 7 out of 10 type game. It does stuff very well, but it just has this big, like, parts just don't make sense. You go blast through parts that to me like should be longer. They definitely like have more focus on certain areas. Like, hey, we want you to get this part right away. Yeah. So just do this puzzle really quick, do that puzzle really quick, and then get there. It's very telling. Like, this definitely does not want you to spend too much time in certain areas where I'd be like, okay, I want to explore this person's area. But nope, it's just really quick, boom, we want you to get to this area.
Huh. That's interesting.
That to me, yeah. Because it was pretty clear at the first part of the game. I was like, man, this castle is huge. There's so much stuff to do. And then when you leave it, it's like, oh, okay, there's not much else. And I'm just getting to the end game, I guess.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if that's like kind of a game direction type thing where they definitely spent a lot of time in certain areas. It was pretty telling. They spent a lot of time in certain areas and just wanted to get you through. And I don't really like that too much.
Yeah.
Because when I think about 2, it was like you spend most of your time in the police station, which that's
but there's 2 other areas, yeah.
But there's areas, there's other areas, and that to me it progressed, and you can see why you spend those time in those areas, and
Well, I 2 did the cool thing of 2 stories in 1, so
two stories in 1 for 2, and then 3 when you go back to the station, like that to me was also great. Like when you, that's the best part about 3 was when you go back and you're like, oh, this is how that became like that. And I was like, oh,
I have nostalgia now for this.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of a shame. So, would you recommend buying this on sale, or what do you?
Okay, yeah. So, $60 price tag for this game. About a 9-hour playthrough. Again, we brought this up last week with Returnal. It's like with a $70 price tag. I think it's an okay price, but I did not feel inclined to like play it on a higher difficulty after I beat it because I was just like, okay, I know. Once you know the game and you know the puzzles, it really ruins the thrill of the game for me.
Yeah.
Like it just becomes like, okay, too easy, and then there was no difficulty in enemies. Like I really loved replaying RE2, like the second story and some of the modes, because the difficulty was in the enemies. It's like, okay, I know the puzzles, but it's like, okay, how am I gonna navigate this part?
Yeah.
Like, what do I want to do here for Mr. X? Like he could just appear to. So.
For sure.
Yeah, I definitely think this is a game to pick up on sale. Whether it goes on sale, I don't know how soon, but it's if you want to get introduced into this type of latest Resident Evil and you haven't played 7, I think it's okay to jump in at this point. You don't need to play 7. It tells you the story right from the start.
I'll take it to you. If you had to pick 1, 7 or 8, which do you recommend? Is that a personal
right now?
Is that a personal choice? Do you want to watch a horror movie or an action movie?
Yeah, I guess to me they're way different.
Mm-hmm.
But I would, if you had like a choice between 7 or 8, I would probably play 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like if you had a choice that way, but to me, I would want you to play both, but they are just not the same game, and that's fine. Like they didn't have to be, and I really liked when I first started playing this game. I really loved like what they were doing. It just didn't keep that same pace for some reason.
I kind of like that every Resident Evil has like a different style.
Yeah,
yeah,
you know,
I think
that's
that can
okay.
be cool. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
Except for 6. 6 is bad.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
I watched videos.
I mean, of course, you experiment with styles and they could suck. Which 2 is like, man, this hit it out of the park, and then 3 comes along and it's like, we don't need that.
We did a lot of action.
Like, what?
Yeah.
It's like it was definitely different. It was like less puzzle, more shooty, and you just blast through it, and that's it.
Yeah.
And, man, that was not good.
You got Carlos. Remember Carlos, James? He's got a lot of hair.
Can't live in a Carlos-less world.
You can't live in a Carlos-less world. That was a line from the game, Ted. That was a line.
I'll take your word for it. That sounds ridiculous.
And then the Russian kind of antagonist.
Yeah,
oh my.
Yeah, 3 is a weird game.
Ooh.
Any final thoughts on 8? I feel like that was a great way to kind of close up your summary.
I don't think there's anything else to say. There is definitely some interesting characters in it. Mm-hmm. The story to me is pretty solid.
Okay.
At some points, I didn't want to talk about any story because I do have problems with it, but it's major spoilers. Okay. So if we do it maybe in the future where you guys have played it or you wanted to play it, we could talk about it. I'd be down with that. But for right now, it's like they're a little bit too big. To just spoil people.
For sure, that makes sense.
I do think people should play this game.
Cool. So I look forward to playing it before the end of the year.
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Boom. Sidescape Gaming Podcast. Well, thank you so much for watching the Sidescape Gaming Podcast, episode 55. We will be back next week. We will be talking about the Mass Effect Legendary Edition and our thoughts, probably a lot of thoughts on Mass Effect 1 and maybe a little 2 sprinkled in. And we'll be talking about that game a lot more throughout the year. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.